So we have gone through really phase one of the character and phase two. So now the next portion is, now that we're resembling something, now we're resembling kind of a silhouette of this character, we're going to want to start refining things. Now this is where things can get tricky, but well, if you've never gone through this phase, it's obviously going to be tricky. But hopefully this is where your study of other characters comes into play, and that's really the most important part, and the big reason why I provided the model, so you can go ahead and see the process of where we kind of went through and see some of the same factors that kind of relate. And some of those factors are cheekbones. I kind of have like a checklist, a character checklist. Cheekbones are important. Your whole entire eye cavity, keeping in mind the eye cavity is important to help you. Oh, cool. Having an entire eye cavity is important to help you get a lot of the points in the checklist. The eye cavity will help define your nose brow, which is part of the list, your eyebrows, which are going to sit on top of your forehead area, your cheekbones. All of this are going to be defined by that eye cavity. So thinking of the eye cavity helps, one. And two, your mouth. Your mouth cavity, your muzzle, your teeth, those things will help you get this area down. So those are kind of some points to check out for your character. Ears are also part of the checklist. We already have those in place. And as we get further along, eyelashes and whiskers, those are things that you're going to want to go ahead and think about while you're working. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but your mouth cavity is an important thing. Your teeth are important for completing characters. So those are things that you'll just go ahead and write down, and as you go, you're going to want to make sure you complete those. Having that list in front of you is going to make it easier for you to move forward, instead of spending an hour on this one wrinkle that you're trying to get, and you don't even have a hand, and you have 20 more minutes to kind of work on things. That's gonna cause you problems. So I probably should exit out of my Dropbox here. Okay, so those are things to keep in mind. So let's go ahead and move forward and add more geometry and kind of start refining those areas. Some of these are going to be difficult to read, if you don't think about them ahead of time. So thinking about them will help you dissect what should be here. So let's move on. One of the other things I would like to point out is the arm loop. I did mention it before. You're going to want a radial coming up and around here. Now that we have more geometry, it'd be a lot easier to define that, and then we're going to do that up-res thing that I had showed you at the end of the last video. So up-resing this is going to be an important thing, and defining the face some more, and getting maybe our fingers into place, at least blocked out, so we have an idea of how that's going to work. So let's go ahead and do the hands, do the arms and hands first, since again I get carried away with faces and I can spend all day on the face. So let's go ahead and get these points out. So let's go and draw that one radial, and this radial loop will help help with your deformation in this area. It will give kind of buffer edges so they can collapse on top of each other. And I think I might have messed up my geometry here. Oh, there we go. So I just right-clicked to end, and it just kind of finished. So let me give you kind of an example of something here. If I grab a cylinder with more spans, let's get that. We'll hit Control A, close U, and then we'll grab our poly cylinder, and then we'll add more height, and then we'll just add more subdivisions in the height. So when things are, when you have motion on your character, it's going to move around and all sorts of things, and you're going to want to make sure you can see how these lines are parallel to each other, and they're able to move freely up and down this length because these lines, they're supporting the movement. So I'm able to go ahead and just kind of do things without having collisions problems. So that you can see that these guys are able to collapse without an issue, no shading errors or anything. But if we had geometry, kind of like, we'll grab our cut faces tool, maybe something like this. If we had something like this, and then we were trying to do that same exact thing here, here now we're getting our shading errors because our geometry is kind of obstructing itself. It's not allowing it to freely move and collapse down this area. So with a joint, with a ball joint, you're going to want to have geometry come around in a ball joint fashion. Ball joints can go up, down, left, and right, and many different variances, many different degrees within in between. So you're going to want to have kind of a radial going around those points. So that's kind of that. Now that up-res that we experience will give us more geometry for our hands and to round out our arms. So I'm going to put in a couple loops there. So this will be deleted eventually. And then I have a few points up here. I'm going to add one down here. You know what? I can just add this here, and then I do have one here that I can up-res. So I can bring this point up, or bring this one in. I'll bring this one in here, since it would be easy to kind of draw a loop going across there. And then for this, I'll bring this one up. Cool. So now I can clean all that up, and then at the end I'll have a radial loop coming across, and I'll have more geometry coming into my arm. Get rid of that stuff. Let's delete edge. Cool. Select you and then deselect. It's just a video card error. Oh. Cool. So now I have that radial loop. Yes, the shape isn't that great, but hey, I just added that geometry in, so give me a break. So I can go ahead and shape this out just a little bit. Let's go to multi-mode with tweak on. So we'll double click this, turn on tweak, and then I'll get rid of my attribute editor and hold Control spacebar and just kind of tweak this out. Maybe puff that up, kind of work on the shoulder a little bit. Boom. Give more volume to that arc there. This I'll pull down a little bit. This I'll have represent the back more so. And then when you're doing the up-res, yeah, we got those obvious pieces that are cleaned up in there, but we also have these guys that can also be part of the arm or wherever we decide to take them. So there's actually two parts to that, and I just kind of pointed out the first part. So there. It's not too shabby. So we're adding a little weight to this back here, which I've seen a lot of characters done where their backs are completely flat. So that's something to keep in mind. Same thing with the arms. You know, you can get those straight so you can have better motion for that. how do you figure out where to take these guys? Use trial and error, really. So I can try that, and that helps support this, and it's kind of like a radial. It's not completely there, but it just supports it, which is useful. I'm gonna hit G, the G key, or I'll just do this since it's a lot easier to visualize. Split polygon tool. Come here, bring this into the arm. Just keep that there. We'll go multi. Switch our tool to the move tool. Maybe tighten this up a bit. A little bit. So we'll grab you. Split polygon tool. Up that way. Let's undo that. Try it one more time. Cool. So, and we just play around with this. It might end up wrong. I might need to, instead of putting this loop coming up and around, I might need to bring this up, and that's okay. You find that out as you go. So we'll go ahead and just round off our shape. Start bringing this up, pulling this out, and up, up, and up. Shape this out. Okay, and this is kind of round that off. This I'll continue down the leg into the foot to the bottom, and then I'll pull this out. This is I have a kind of a weight over here, but then the arc kind of dies out, so I'm just gonna pull that out some more. Play with that shape a bit. Pull this out some more. Bam. Red Panda got back. Sorry. So we'll go ahead, and right now this is pretty flat here, and we'll just go ahead and round this off. This will be kind of like the glute area. So I'm going to keep it round, yes, but just kind of shape that out a bit. Cool. So with this, I can go and pull into the arm. After moving points around, it just makes sense. It looks like it would easily go in here, and the faces wouldn't be too spread out. So we can go ahead and just pull that up, and then we can to make these more manageable, we can just split across here. Insert edge loop, and then we just round this off. Multi move. So the tweak tool definitely is a time saver for you. Just put that out there. So we'll get that. Cool. So another loop in here to make these a little smaller, and to get more of an arc would be nice. Oh, I did that move again. So insert edge loop. There we are. Multi mode. We'll tweak you. Play with that arc here. Play with the arc here because it did seem a little flat here. These three lines are kind of form a straight line. We'll break that. And now that's forming a straight line, we'll break that out a bit. So it's just being mindful of what current changes are doing to pass points. So I think the leg is shaping out well. We can add 2 more edges here, and then we can forget about the leg for now. Insert 1 and 2, and then multi here. We'll go ahead and shape you out. Maybe add a little weight back here to show that this is kind of the lower leg. Kind of looking at this edge, I'm probably going to want to draw this on the bottom here. So having it pull up, I want this to be, since it's this portion leg, we'll just have it come up over here, and then this can kind of come down and fill out this area. So we'll grab our multi, round that off. There we go. Okay, so shape that out. This guy I'll just draw it across. We'll split polygon tool here. Bam, boom, and then we'll just bring you there for now. We can follow through that thought later, and we can take you, bring you into the foot. This can connect to there. Delete you. Just get into our multi, shape it out. So we're getting shapes in here. I may be bulking up the leg a little too much, but time will tell how it's playing out and how it's feeling. So maybe I'm thinking of maybe another edge in here, but I'm thinking of also sliding these points. So we got that. Pull this across. Pull that across. Cool. Cool stuff. Kind of round this off. I don't like the shape of this polygon there, so just kind of pull that down a little bit. Maybe just a little bit, because I can always add an edge in here. Insert edge loop tool there, and then just round that off a bit. So let's deselect that edge by just clicking and then just reevaluate, because if you just start dragging with the selection, it's going to assume that's what you want to move while you're in tweak mode. The tweak multi-combo. Alright, so we got this going. Pulling this out. Okay, we can kind of pull this in just a bit. Cool. So we have that shaped out. We can go ahead and shape out the foot a little bit more. Not too worried about it. Okay, so leg, just looking good. We have our radial for our arm, not too shabby, and we can start drawing maybe some loops down here, splitting the arm up a little bit, and maybe start thinking about getting our hands into place. This just happens to connect there. And then we can do the same thing over here. This just happens to come across this way and just fits. Okay, this was not all pre-planned. Look, there's one here. So that's what I'm saying. You know, just give it some chance. You know, give it a chance. So we grab our multi. Just round off a bit. Shape that out. Pull you in. Just put in these spans here, coming down the arm. 1, 2. And we already broke the history over here on the side, but that's okay. We have our original. So with this, we can go ahead and rough out where the thumb is. So we established this is the hand. I can take this out, extrude. I have the multi-mode on, so, or the tweak mode, so I'll just pull that out there. And then there are 1, 2, 3 fingers, so I'll keep that in mind. So I'll kind of slide this edge over. So now I have 3 areas where fingers can be. So I'll grab these 2. I'll extrude that out. Just pull out, and then I'll have this middle area. Face. Extrude, and then pull that out. So middle area I'll assume will be larger. Those are pretty large fingers, so let's go ahead and grab these guys and just scale them down. In order to do that, I'm going to need to get back to this scale tool and turn off my, or actually I should just grab the scale tool. That was my mistake. So I'll go ahead and scale that down a bit. Scale this down as well. So then now we have this position down, and then let's just go ahead and just play for scale. We'll grab our vert, move tool, start moving about. Our multi-mode, much better mode. So we'll grab these guys out, pull it up. Cool. So we're just moving about, seeing, adding geometry where we need it, experimenting, and just playing around for shapes. That's roughly it. So let's straighten that out. And for now, I'm going to delete this edge to this edge. So I just held down, selected the first edge, rotated to my next edge, held shift, then double click. That's going to give me that loop to select around. So we'll go ahead and delete edge. And then just select these two actually, and just delete edge. So just make that easier for me to kind of work with. So then I can just go ahead and slide this since I am still in tweak mode and with the multi on. So let's just remember that your hands have arches. So we'll just kind of add this arch, round off this shape since I added that geometry there and really didn't utilize it yet. So we got that. The thumb will be smaller. Down here will be thinner. Let's make it thinner. It will definitely taper down. It will taper down to the tip of it. Cool. So, the fingers come down. Yeah, the weighting feels okay on that. Let's complete this loop across. There we are. Grr. Alright, so there we are. So we got that. And let's just go ahead and scale that. I'm not sure if I should scale the tips down yet. I think the fingers maybe should be shorter. A bit. Cool. I'm just going to get rid of this proxy here. Make a new proxy. Proxy, subd proxy with our old options. We'll hit Control A to get rid of this. So this would be red panda. That's the shape node. Here we are. So red panda left will be right, and then we'll just proxy. So I know it's the proxy. And then we'll bring down our exponent level. And the problem here is when I do the group edit. Let's see if I can change that group option box. Group under parent. We'll just group under world. And then actually that's not the problem that I was looking for. Alright, so here I have this guy, and the problem that I was talking about is here. It makes a group through that group, so it kind of groups it again. So we'll take this, we'll hit Shift P, and then parent it here, P, and then delete this group. So just be mindful of those things. You can create really dirty scenes and end up with a bunch of crashing if you're not careful. Okay. So arms resing up a bit, hands are kind of getting there. There's still a lot of subtle shapes to get. The palm needs to be kind of collapsed a bit, and we need to kind of just play around with our shapes some more. Grab the move tool around these points out. Okay, so at least the hands are sort of in place. I have them there. They're being represented by volume, kind of similar to the foot. So I'm kind of happy with that. Now, for me, the fun stuff kind of starts. I can go ahead and start defining this face a bit. So we'll just keep in mind those checkpoints. Actually, this might be a good place to no, these are all part of the checkpoints. Hands are checkpoints, legs, feet, those are all parts. So I was thinking about starting a new video here, but we'll continue on with this one. Now with this, let's kind of do those points that we kind of mentioned. The eye cavity being an important area. So I'm going to isolate this out here, maybe draw this down to help define this corner of the eye here. So this will be my brow region. So I can start drawing loops around here that will represent my brow. The eye cavity, though, will be represented by this here. Okay, so now that is kind of the eye cavity loop, and we can go and start getting brow lines coming across. So we can go ahead here. This can be representative of where the brow will live, and if I continue on here, I can go ahead and do maybe a loop from here, come down this way, and this will be where my cheekbone will live. Obviously not right here, but these are just blocking out the loops. We're just blocking this stuff out. So this I'll take up, just draw it, have this parallel to here. So we got that going for us. Our lines for our bridge of our nose, that's an important line to get. And let's see, and then this can eventually be up-resed this way, and that hits a lot of important areas. Eventually, the way this will play out, these will be slid back a bit. If you look at an eye from the side, you'll see kind of the corners come back. So a lot of that will happen in the next bit. So that's kind of something to think of. The ear we can keep how it is now, but now I think it's a good place to save, since I kind of blocked in those areas, and then we can go ahead and just kind of move on with the next points. Actually, we can maybe we can block in where the mouth would be. So I can take this, pull it down here, get an idea where our mouth will live, and maybe a nose. Okay, so essentially I just drew out the points that I wanted to kind of make. So for the next step would be to kind of round off these shapes and then start defining these things, like this little poof in the cheek and all that. So it's a good place to save. File, save scene as. So we have the block out, and then we'll just go block out. We'll just do checklist. So then we'll save this, and we should be good.